everyone, I'm JC and welcome to my channel. A few weeks back I posted every single thing I've crocheted. She's new. And another hobby I like doing is painting on glass bottles. This is slightly newer. I think I started in like February or March. And so I currently have 6 of them. They take a little longer than you'd think, and at the end of the video I'm going to share some tips that might help it a bit and stuff that I learned a little too late. So before I get into this, please like, subscribe, and share this video with everyone you know. Let's get started. First up, we have this wintry blue one. Winter is my favorite season, so I use like a sponge brush to create like this gradient effect, so it's like lighter and then it goes darker. And the only thing I don't like about this one is I used Posca paint pens for these snowflakes, and you probably can't even see it on the camera, but when we sprayed like a top coat over this to like keep it sealed, it kind of like streaked the paint on the Poscas. I'm not really sure why I did that. I've never had that problem before, but you can kind of see there's like some runniness, but it's not super noticeable, and I think it turned out really pretty, especially for my first time. But yeah, that's my first one. It looks really pretty. Okay, so this is the second one I painted, and it's probably one of my favorites. I love space, and it was my dream to be like an astronaut, but I can't spend all my life up in space. But this is what it looks like. It's mostly black, but I painted some constellations on there, some of my favorites. And for the planet, I used a coaster, and I traced like around it, and then I used a sponge to create that gradient effect again. I really like how it turned out. It's kind of like simple in some ways, but it's just so pretty for me. I like the square glass bottle too. I normally just paint with the round ones, but this one came out really good. Before we talk about this one, I just want to say my dog does have a bit of a collapsed trachea, so if you hear snorting in the background ever, it's most likely my dog. Her throat just kind of collapses when she gets too excited, so we just gotta keep her nice and calm, but if you hear that noise, that's what it is. So this is the third one I painted, and I was going for an antique look because this is when I got these like new paints. They're Liquitex Basic, which are my favorite paints to use right now, and they have these like metallic ones in there, and then also this like I think they call it unbleached titanium maybe, so it's kind of like more like a beige color, but I thought it just looked really nice. This is my sister Breland's favorite as well, but I just love the color gold. Yellow is my favorite color, so gold always is nice. But yeah, it looks good. More simple, but it looks good. Now we have this one I painted to look like a lake, and the little like where you hold the bottle, I made the little lakes, and then it goes into like an ocean here. And then I painted some flowers. Now the green, it might be hard to tell on camera. We're gonna get some closer pictures of these to show, but it's like multiple greens, and I just kind of blended them, and then I put some flowers, and the lake has some multiple blues to get like a gradient effect. But it looks good, and I add some white too, just for some highlights. It's pretty. I like lakes and stuff, so it just is nice, and it reminds me of the ocean, kind of. Next up, we have this one, and this one is probably my most detailed. I wanted it to look like a snow globe, and if you can't tell, I wrote snow globe on the side. So here's like a picture of it during the daytime, but then if you turn it over, it's the same tree but at nighttime. This took a long time because you have to wait for the coats to dry, like until they're completely dry, but it looks good. The only thing that I don't really like about it is the snow mounds aren't like equal on both sides, and I was trying to get them equal, but this one's obviously much higher than this side. But I mean, we can just pretend that it's been snowing all day and now the mounds are higher. But other than that, it looks good, and I like Christmas trees, so got me in the Christmas spirit. Lastly, I have this one, which is probably my most unique one. What I did to get this like clear effect is I used some double-sided tape. I printed out some Christmas light templates. I cut them out, put them on the double-sided tape, cut that out, and then peeled the other side, peeled these on, or put these on, and then peeled them off when the paint was all done. I just went with like simple stripes for this. They're supposed to look like Christmas lights with the black, and eventually I'm going to put a light inside of here and it's going to kind of shine through. I used some silver for just some nice finishes, but it looks pretty good. The only thing was, and I should have known this, and I worried about it the whole time, when I peeled the tape off, it peeled some of the paint with it. So like the ones that was on the edge, so I had to go back with white and just try to fix it. What I probably should have done was like put it on and then after every coat peel it off and then put it back on so it wasn't so thick. Because this is probably a good 4 coats just to get this like vibrant color. But that's what I should have done, but it was my first time, so I didn't know how it was going to turn out, and I was kind of lazy, so I didn't want to do all that work. But it looks pretty good, and I can't wait to see it with the light, and I will be putting a picture of that at the end just so you can see it. It's going to be really pretty. Okay, so now that I've shown all the bottles I painted, I'm going to kind of go over some tips on and how to like do this. So I normally just use bottles that we've used, either from like sauces or drinks. And what I do is I put them in some like soapy water. I let them soak for a few hours, and then I take this like tag thing so I can get all the tags off and any like, you don't want it to be oily or greasy from like whatever was in there. So you want it to be really clean. Or you can do what I've done like the past couple times and go to a craft store and just buy glass bottles and just kind of wipe it down to make sure it's clean. So that's what I've been doing for a little bit, but normally I will just use ones that we just have around the house and clean them up. So then what you have to do is for the first coat, I just use white to get like a nice color on there, and I use like a sponge brush and dab it completely all over. You don't want to use a paintbrush because this is a smooth surface, so it's going to leave streaks and then eventually it might chip away. So you want to use a sponge and just dab and dab and dab, and you want it to be a pretty thin coat. Let that dry, and like I didn't know this at first, acrylic paint dries pretty quick, but you really have to make sure it is completely dry. So I might do like the base coat in the morning and like not do the second coat until like mid-afternoon or something, just to make sure. Because what will happen if you try to do a second coat, it will peel off like the wet paint that's underneath it and just completely, that's happened many times. I have to go back and like do it all over again. So you want to make sure it's completely dry. After you've done the sponge, you can go in with like a regular paintbrush and just act like it's a canvas, or you can keep using the sponge. That might be helpful for like gradients, or if you just want that texture throughout the whole thing. So that's something you can do. And then, yeah, those are just some tips because, and I know a lot of people will put like a primer on before they do it. I've never done that before. People say it will help with chipping. I've never really had that problem, but I also am not really moving them all over the place. So if you want to do that, if you think you're going to be like, I don't know, dropping them a lot or something, you might want to use a primer. And then at the very end, I just use a sealer. It's like a clear gloss, and I just have someone spray it on for me. We do it in like a nice ventilated area. And yeah, then it's pretty much done. You just have to make sure it's extremely dry before you move on to another coat. And that's pretty much all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Hi everyone, I'm JC and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing some tips and showing... Wait, stop. I remember how I want to do it. Hi everyone, I'm JC and welcome to my channel. A few weeks back I posted every single crochet thing that I have crocheted, and another hobby I like doing is painting on glass bottles. This one's slightly newer. I think I started like last February or March, and I have 6 of them now, so I'm going to show all of them I've done. And at the end, I'm going to post some tips on like things that you should like watch out for and stuff. So before we get into this, please like, subscribe. Hold on. I think. Okay, so this is the second one I painted. I really love space. It's like my dream to be like an astronaut, but I don't know if I can spend my life up in space. But I used a... Oh.